All right, it is 6:02 p.m. Today is Thursday, June 12th. This is kind of committee at a whole / work session / meeting before the meeting to hash out things maybe we didn't get to touch base on before at the work session last Thursday. So I know that JP has some things that he wanted to discuss. I know that the mayor had some things. So I guess can we to be continued and chapter 2?
I'll make mine short and sweet. That never happens. Okay, actually, let's do this. Roll call.
Oh, thank you.
Here, Tony Pinter.
Tiffany Southard.
Kathy Passion.
Tommy Grant.
JP Martin.
Jeffrey Wilczek. And then I'm assuming Stacy,
Stacy is stuck in traffic.
Councilperson Cost is on her way.
And
And,
Councilperson Camera should be here at quarter after.
yes, he shall be here as soon as he arrives. That's the answer that we're going with. He will be here when he gets here.
Yes.
Okay. I told you guys just a few days ago that we would be reviewing not your survey, but my survey, the tree survey. We have put together a PO. We are moving forward with Davy trees. That is going to be, we are working on getting put on a schedule. And once we know when that schedule is going to be, we will be notifying the residents around both lakes. We will be using the list that Mike has used in the past to just let residents know that we will be you might see somebody in your backyard. That's all that this letter is going to say. There's not going to be any tree cutting. There's not going to be anything like that. But we do feel the need to make sure that people know, because as we've seen with breeze line and different things, if somebody's in near somebody's yard, it does alarm them. So we will make sure that we get some postcards out. So if you are around the lake, it's coming. I just don't know exactly when yet.
So this is in regards to tree surveys that have taken place, and they've identified the trees that need to be taken down.
No, that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
That is exactly what we're doing.
So we have not assessed the trees.
Correct.
that are on village property.
Correct.
This is
Yes.
simply what is on village property and what.
Yes.
Just the South Lake, right?
No, we're doing the North and the South Lake. They're going to be doing both lakes. They're going to be doing all of that. And essentially, yes, they will be just around the lakes. They will be going approximately 10 feet in from the edge of the bank. But again, they could potentially step on somebody's property. Maybe they'll probably start here and just kind of go all the way around. But they will do their best to stay on village property. But again, we want to make sure that we're looking at everything and not cutting down things that we shouldn't be. And so far we haven't really done that, and that's happening. Next, we have a tree that was of concern and maybe I can let JP kind of go on this whether he wants to or not, but there was a tree that was in need of potentially coming down. We had someone come look at it. They agreed that it needed to come down. It's a rather large tree. They gave us an estimate to cut it down. But we have had so much concern with trees that coming down that I decided to get a second opinion to make sure that that person also believed that the tree needed to come down. So we got 2 estimates for this one particular tree to come down. Both people said it needed to come down. So we are, yes, the PO has been done. I just need to make sure that he is aware that and actually I will message him right now.
Both agreed it needed to come down.
Both agreed that
one was a higher bid. I think you mentioned
correct.
this, and one
Yes.
was lower.
One was higher, one was lower. Well, actually, one was almost double. And I'm quite sure it has, I don't know. So we are cutting it down. And it was because they felt like it was a concern. It felt, they felt like it is. One good windstorm could potentially bring it down. So there's no, again, a little bit more proactive than reactive. So that tree's coming down, and then there was one more thing that we were going to talk about. What was it? Anybody know? I have a meeting tomorrow with the contractor, and I'm only mentioning this to you guys right now just because I'm meeting with the contractor again tomorrow on the maintenance garage. They want to go over where we are, but they also they want to discuss the residents that have been that is actually part of the reason that they want to meet with us. Is I can't say specifically if it's because of the concern that they're getting too involved, or maybe they want to bring some of their concerns to us just so we're aware, which I'm sure they've already done. But they want to meet with us, and it is in regard, I did find that out today. It is in regards to their concern with residents.
So it's a unique situation. We don't, maybe we do, and I'm not thinking of it the same way, but is there ever like a notice that's posted at the site, like,
There's gonna be a no trespassing sign on there.
Okay.
And normally we do have that, and normally, I guess I shouldn't say normally. We would hope that people would stay away from bulldozers and trees falling and things like that, but unfortunately, that's not been happening. I mean, even when they're not our projects, we're seeing people that are running into job sites, and you can't do that. I don't know where people think that that's a safe option, but we will be making sure, I've actually asked them to post no trespassing signs over there. So, this isn't, I guess I should say, this isn't unique. This is not the first time this has happened. It's actually, I would veer to say, every single project I've had a problem with a handful of people. This is not unique.
Will there be fencing, that orange fencing?
My understanding is yes.
Because
and-
legally,
Yeah, correct.
we have to have that.
Yes,
Okay.
so my understanding is the answer is yes, and that's where it's gonna be posted. As long as they stay on the outside of that, they can, some people just like to watch. Like, I don't have an issue with things like that. So as long as you're outside of as long as you're not interfering with the project. That's all I ask of residents, is please do not interfere with the project. Like it, love it, that's not what I'm having a conversation. You can't not interfere with other people's projects. And that's all I have to say about that one. So that meeting is tomorrow, and I will report back to you guys if there's anything I feel like I need to report back to you, or if they are concerned about certain things. We are still working on the permits. Those have not been completed yet. And I'm going to say that as of right now, there is something else, and I'll think of it in a minute.
for clarification, the
Yes.
permits are submitted, they're just not
Correct.
approved?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
I know a lot of questions have been answered and things that they were concerned about has been addressed.
Yes.
I've also sent payment over for permits, so hopefully it's coming soon.
Yeah, we are well on our way into that. JP, you take it from there, and then I'll chime back in when I remember what I had one more thing, and I cannot think of what it is right now.
Just to reiterate, the tree that's right by the walking path is split in half.
Yes.
It is swaying in the wind and creaking or cracking, or whatever you want to say. It's a danger to the residents, and that's why unfortunately it must come down. We don't want it to hit anybody. So yeah. While we're on the tree subject, regarding the trees in the MI section that are supposed to be cut back, I think it was 8 to 10 feet on the sidewalks, correct?
Did we send something out in the newsletter for that? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought we did.
We do.
Okay.
Hey, are we past the 30 days on that? Of the letter that we sent out?
The letter or the
notification that
the
was-
newsletter?
Yeah, or,
I'd have to imagine it'd be 30
because
days.
we have how do I say this? A tree vigilante running around and chopping trees on the sidewalks. And that is a responsibility of the residents, the homeowners, sorry. If we send out notifications, I think it's time that we just send out one more, or we just take it upon ourselves to cut it and then fine them.
I think we broadcast it as a whole, but if we're finding that people are specifically not meeting that criteria that we've notified them about, then we need to
Address it.
notify them again, right?
Right.
For code or whatever. I mean, I think that's a code problem.
Oh.
No?
Absolutely. I mean, the ones who especially we're gonna go, and then don't we charge them at this point if we have to trim their tree?
I believe so.
I don't know.
So like targeting the people who we have to go and fix it, and then we're going to charge them. It makes sense to
Right.
notify them, we're about to do this. Kind of a one last shot to do it yourself.
You have a question,
I
Jeff?
see Furrowed Brow.
Yeah.
Considering transmitting around, it's going to break it off.
Somebody's trying to break it.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
The street trees that are in the new section,
Yes.
while they are the responsibility of the property
Two different people.
Right, that's no.
owner, we could assess each property owner, say $20 a year. And every couple of years, somebody professionally comes through and prunes those trees. The village would hire them, professionally have them trimmed. And that would provide us enough money that if if a few trees die a year, we can replace them,
That's a great idea.
okay? It'd be about a $25 fee per year, generate about $6,000 each year. It should provide plenty of money for someone to come through, professionally trim those trees every 2 or 3 years, and allow us to replace any that die. It's a thought for council to consider. I mean, that's one way to address this and have it taken care of.
This regarding the trees in the MI section that the
I
residents
just want to hear what
are
Jeff said, I know what the issue is. I didn't hear what you said, sorry.
How would the assessment work? It's an assessment,
So-
but explain how it would actually, like, how would we collect the
Council
money?
would have to pass an ordinance assessing each property owner, say $20 or $25 a year. And for that, council would hire someone to professionally trim or prune the trees every couple of years or so. And it would provide enough resources for us to replace any trees that die over time. That way it takes care of the issue of taking care of those trees. Now, I did notice as I was driving through that section, there's times where trying to make a right-hand bend, the branches were so low on them, I couldn't see anything that potentially coming around, which tells me they need to be pruned up a little.
Right.
Okay? It might be a way to take care of it, and it's a very inexpensive fee then. It might solve the problem.
Is that
Again,
something that,
that's something for council to consider.
would voters have to approve that, or we
No.
would, I didn't think so, but how would we actually collect it? Because we already know that they don't pay REIT tax, 25% doesn't pay
I
REIT
think there's
tax.
some procedures that we would have to follow as far as going forward with the assessment and the effect of people becoming aware of it and then council approving it by ordinance. Okay? It would become an annual fee collected with property taxes.
So it would be in the property tax?
Yes.
I mean,
And that's, you're thinking $20
so
annual.
that is like an administrative cost for us to be able to even implement all of that, like, what, how does, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is the fine right now if they don't cut them? Just out of
I
curiosity.
can't hear her.
Or,
I can't hear you. You gotta speak up.
I don't know how much work it would take on the front end for this to be implemented, and what kind of burden would that put on our administrative assistant and things like that. So I am hesitant to think that this is a good idea because of all the extra stuff we have to do on the front end.
I think my concern are the homeowners who are keeping them trim.
Right.
You know, I mean, and I don't know, I don't walk around that part as much, but if the majority of them are keeping them trimmed and all of a sudden now they're getting assessed, granted a very, very nominal fee every year, you know, because of their neighbors who aren't, that's.
We all need to pay a tax
And I
because if
realize
you,
Exactly,
Right, there's always.
There are those that are taking care of them.
yeah. I don't know the percentage.
is it easier just to have John just go out there and find the people who don't take care of them?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
thing, is like,
And what is
okay,
that
we're gonna
fine
trim them,
again?
and then, it's like with the lawn mowing, I think we should get a warning, and
Yeah.
then if not,
I
then
agree.
you get your tree trimmed, and then you get a bill.
Yeah, because I don't want to punish the people who are doing their
Right, I don't know.
due diligence and, okay, so.
it's under the weeds and grass thing, so I imagine it would be the same.
Right,
Mm.
so,
Just make
you
it,
know,
send out another letter, make it quick, like, you know, I mean, not to be rude, but. Because there are like some of them very low and hit people in the face as they walk past, hence the tree visual anti.
I think the issue, we gotta give clear direction then to our code enforcer, that he has to do that job.
Yeah,
Because I think there's some picking and choosing on which things he wants to enforce. So,
I don't
because there's a lot of things that are out of control that I think we should have already sent letters for.
I agree.
And we gave a lot of grace to people in Mercy, not getting issues.
Yeah, because I don't know which house it is, but I know that I've now heard about, there's a certain house on Minerva Lake Road, and all I can say is white, that 2 people have made a comment about it today at the pool to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know which house it is, and I guess I'm gonna go figure it out, but they said it's been that bad for that
I think
long.
the other thing is we have to be consistent with the whole neighborhood. I think it's easy to pick out the MI homes because they're so close together. It's easy to see their lawns, their garbage cans, like you can do a quick loop through there and find it real quick. It's a little harder to get through the legacy section and kind of knock that stuff out, but.
Just A question, what are some of the major code things that we have? The grass,
More than 6 inches.
trash, any kind of trash issues?
Trash visible from the street, trash cans
Trash
out.
cans will not be visible.
Obviously limbs could be an issue, I can see that.
They are.
What is any other major item? I'm just curious.
I mean,
If you have-
I feel like
if
we get
you have,
cited
like-
for mold on siding a lot.
Yeah, mold on siding, if you have gutters hanging from your house, if you have, we have somebody that is concerned about somebody's front door, if it's like, you know,
Are those more one-offs thrown away?
that some of them can be one-offs, but again, when you have hanging gutters, that's something that happens a couple, you know, maybe one-off, five-off type thing. I mean, yes, it's probably not one person, but you probably got, especially again, in the older section, people that aren't keeping up with things like that. Some of the other stuff that.
Is there any other, the leaves, or is that an issue? I mean,
No, because most people if they wanna leave them in their yard, they're more than. we don't-
Parking things,
Yeah,
like RVs being
Exactly,
parked,
and boats and stuff.
semi trucks,
boats and,
So much trouble.
yeah,
That's a good
park, things
topic.
being parked where they're not supposed to be, I guess. It's
Yeah,
a big
that's-
one. His report has quite a bit in it this month, I don't know if you saw it, but I don't remember what was in it.
it's almost like we need to print something that basically says, and we're gonna have to keep the addresses down, but it's almost like we need to go print 30 or 40 copies of a letter that basically says, your trees they need trimmed. He's gonna have to write down an address, you know, basically just have one pre-printed, put their address on it and that, and then make a note, because he can't make copies of them. I'm gonna assume it's probably 30 or 40 over there, easily. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
No,
I mean,
it's,
40 houses.
I mean, even mine was in probably violation, and because I saw someone grab tree limbs on my neighbor's tree and rip them off.
You cut
And I
them.
was like,
Why didn't you just go to your neighbors, the rest of your neighbors?
because I don't want to
I'm
damage
joking.
their property.
I'm totally.
And then be liable for the tree that died because I cut it without their permission.
So
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be one of the things, because we do have a handful of sidewalks that have not been addressed, and that's gonna be one of the others.
And it's not just sidewalks, it's also streets, like the trees hanging over, and like Jeff had mentioned, like, they're bushing at the bottom where they have little saplings that come
Yep.
out, and there's times when those need to be
I
addressed
agree.
as well. So it is sidewalks, and we have people walking through there, and that definitely needs addressed, but it's also cars too, people getting out of cars, they're not all sedans anymore, they're big old cars. And you open your door,
No, I'm in complete agreement. It's gonna be a matter of figuring out, and maybe what we do is that be in a separate folder, maybe it doesn't go, or maybe once a month or once every other month, we put them in their files, but maybe we just keep a folder that has everybody's addresses in there and then once they don't do them after 30 days, because that one's gonna be a much larger, it doesn't sound like a large task, but monitoring who's cutting them and who's not, or who trimmed them but didn't trim them enough.
And how to work that within the time frame that he is actually here, which is really only about, 15 hours a week?
Yeah.
If that, right?
it definitely needs I mean, it's just one of those things, it's kind of like we've been building, hey, this is gonna be a problem, this is gonna be a problem, and now it's
It's
a
a
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I trust me, I can't, when you're walking, I'm just gonna say, when you're walking and you're texting,
You get slapped by a tree.
you get slapped by a few trees, and I will not tell you how I know that.
You're assuming.
I'm assuming, I saw somebody once.
Yeah, person.
So, speaking of trees, we have that pavilion built over there, and we have the basketball courts, and we have the playground. Talked to a couple residents about why do we have a pavilion, they can't see their kids play when they're sitting there, so I thought, why don't we open up that area a little bit, because the more open it up, the more safer it's gonna be, the more visible things are. And I'm just talking about a little bit of shrubs, leave the trees if they're 6 inches in diameter, don't take those down, of course, but just a little bit so you can walk through there and see your kids playing.
Are you talking about between the reserve, the little reserve between the shelter house and the playground?
Shelter house, sorry, yes, that is correct.
I'm just gonna tell you, good luck with the residents.
Yeah.
I will tell you that
It's just some shrubs.
No, they like the privacy. and
They want the
that's why
privacy.
they do playing and dancing, and yeah.
I agree.
Okay, well then, all right.
And in fairness, I agree with you because I tried that.
Oh, well then, never mind.
And I'm not saying that, and in fairness, I'm not saying that we can't do it because I know some people want that done.
Alright.
But there was a resident over there that literally was like, he wanted us to go plant more stuff in there because I think it was Brad. No, it was not. When we
When
did
they
the
cleared
electrical
out
line.
the electric.
When we did the
Oh, yeah,
electric
yeah,
line,
yeah.
I heard from him every single day wanting me to go plant more stuff because they had to clear out a little bit.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And it was not a fun time.
All right, moving on to safety, something else. Mineral Park Pool. We have a very nice pool. People spend a lot of money a year having memberships. If there's any kind of nonsense over there, have a zero tolerance, and if need be, for John just to call the police and have them deal with it. And worst case scenario, just trespassing. If anyone's picking on anyone, fighting, things like that nature.
What's the current policy?
I don't even know.
Do nothing?
No, I think
Well, 'cause
that's pretty
sometimes
low
we-
tolerance right now.
Yeah, don't take them out.
We currently have a zero tolerance
Oh,
policy.
good, all right. Well,
I mean, have you heard something different, or is this just?
no, I just want, John to know that it's okay if you have to do what you gotta do to ensure that residents are enjoying their pool stay and not having to deal with craziness.
Has he told you anything that gives you an indication that that's not the case?
I don't say.
Okay.
John's had, nicknames for like 40 years, right? I'm just letting you know, and if you need to know.
We can discuss that.
We had a few,
It's not good, I can tell you that.
we did have a few issues, I mean, we did. We had a
Yeah.
few issues last year that,
I'm sure there's not probably gonna happen again. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
in the event that it does, that we should have a zero, I'm sure like you say, we already do, but just reiterating that. So we don't have it. Summers could get crazy, it could be nice, you never know, but.
I feel like it's his pool, and if he feels that something's going awry,
Yeah, of
then
course.
he's.
he might pick him up and toss him himself. I'm just saying, I met him.
I don't think John has a problem telling people that, hey, this is not a good idea.
All right, so moving right along, couple
He does,
safety
let
things.
Alright.
So me and Kathy got together, and we spoke with the chief a little bit. So safety, we'd like to get people, campaign them, to call the police if they need to, and not get on Facebook and complain, because there's no record of it. Along with that, this summer, maybe patrolling the basketball courts, a little community outreach. Maybe having some more officers on second shift, possibly. I'm gonna move along to fun things we can do this year. I'd like to discuss maybe the council members, awarding Officer Cliff Bigler for Officer of the Year for his outstanding service to the village of Mineral Park.
Is that a typical award they give, or? is
We
that-
don't do anything. I
Yeah.
don't mean it like that. The police, he's talking about something different. We talked about this a couple months ago, when we were here. The police department does an event, around the holidays that is, chief recognizes individuals for several different things. Some are funny, some are, real, some are, I don't mean they're not real, but, it's an event that all of the officers come to. Jeff, you came last year. So yeah, I mean, we do recognize them. We do a couple different things for them. They each get, we do give them a little gift and things like that. And no, it's not insane, I'll tell you that. It's very nice, something that the officers can usually use, whether it's a jacket or some sort of hat or something like that they can use on duty. But we recognize them for, safe driving. So if they haven't been in a car accident all year long, which you gotta remember, being in a car and driving fast speeds and, being 3 o'clock in the morning and an ice storm or torrential downpours, if you've not been in a car, and when I say car accidents, I'm talking even little things. And when you drive 8 hours straight for 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year, it is bound to happen for some people. So we and I think almost everybody got the safe driving last year, but we do safe driving, we do, I can't remember the other things, but
Worst drivers?
we may do an off-the-wall thing or two, but yes, there's like 3 or 4 different things that they get certificates for that most of them really do try pretty hard all year to make sure that they do get that. Again, now my mind is completely blank, I can't think of what the other ones, but the safe driving one sticks out,
I
so.
would say that he's also been here probably one of the longest standing officers that we had in the village. So there's that and his outstanding as far as I'm concerned. So I think he should be recognized for that.
So he was talking about doing something more of like council recognizing or doing some sort of event for again, we had talked about it when we were talking about like surveys and doing things like that. So I think it was just one of those that he had talked about, you know, maybe doing something as council recognizing like an officer of the year or what, I mean, whatever you want to do, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something more council, not police department.
I'm gonna move on to, so, okay, 4th of July,
Do
we
you want to
don't,
discuss this, or you
oh,
just?
sorry, go ahead. Do you guys have anything to say? Sorry.
Uh,
No one said anything, I thought it was time to move on.
No, you just let us.
running through your
Oh,
list,
Yeah, I was trying to hurry up and get through this list.
I am not opposed to that, but I would like, if we're gonna do that, I think we need to set up a set of criteria of what it takes to do that. Because I think if we just kind of, if it's a gut feeling, or if there's not something to back it up, it could look like we're showing favoritism to someone.
Yeah.
So I think if we can kind of come up with this is criteria, or even open it up to the residents. Say, hey, residents, would you like to vote on
I'll take
officer
your
of the
pick, yeah.
year or something like that? I
That's
think
a good
that
one, I
would
like
be,
that.
you know, that takes it off of council, and we're not showing any favoritism. We probably know some of the officers better than anyone else.
Right, I wasn't picking on him to give him favoritism, I'm just stating from being here.
I'm not accusing you of
Okay.
that. I just, you know, you mentioned his name.
Right,
I don't know if I know anything particular that he's done myself, and it's an awareness thing, right? Like, I haven't seen any emails going around saying, hey, Officer Bigler did this, or, you know, chief saying anything particular, so.
You give my kids stickers and they love that.
And that's great, like,
Yeah.
community engagement is definitely something to reward someone for, or acknowledge someone for. But I think there needs to be a set of criteria
Yeah.
to do that.
Hey, my kid got a sticker and now I can say, see, the police are coming, you better get your.
And it could have something to do with the fact that, you know, you gotta be here at least X amount of years in order to get, or, and maybe it's not, maybe a brand new.
So is it service years that we can honor them with?
No, I'm just, no, that's what,
I'm asking.
no, yeah, that's the conversation.
yeah.
That's the
can be.
question.
That is the
How would you
question.
award an award for,
And we're just talking about award, like giving them an acknowledgement. I don't think
Yeah.
we're talking anything else as far as that goes, so.
$1 million?
JP, why don't you, put some meat around it and kind of, and have some discussions and, you know, hey, these might be some criteria that we put around it, and then we can discuss it again at our next work session.
And again, is it just a certificate and maybe you know, bringing them to a council meeting and, you know, just kind of going over and maybe some cookies and,
Or
you know.
gift card or something.
Exactly, so, but I think that's what we're talking about, like, how do you wanna present it, do we wanna just do it, and do we do it in December every single year, and now you know, you have exactly what you wanna do, so, and I don't know that that's what, maybe we start doing it on Police Week. I know that just passed, but that's something that, I like you, I think there's a lot that you could put into something like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I know that, I'm sure that they would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Anybody that won,
Right.
anything you win, you feel good
And
about.
this kind of goes back to letting our officers know that, you know, we do appreciate the service here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
anything else before I move on? Sorry to just make it so quick. No, okay. So the 4th of July, we do not have a food truck. In the past, every 4th of July, we used to have cookouts at the pool. Jim Fisher would cook, we'd have corn roast. I don't know if you guys remember that or been here that long. Probably not. Tiffany, do you remember that? So, this is an idea that council has like a cookout and, you know, maybe we raise money or whatever to do something cool, give that to the MPCA, I don't know, something like that where we work together with MPCA and council. That way we provide food for the 4th of July. We can raise money, do something cool for the neighborhood. I know that we used to have block parties a long time ago. Maybe that's something to consider, I don't know. Just something cool for the neighborhood, I'm not quite too sure what. And this is something that council can speak to as well with the MPCA and kind of work together. Anybody?
I mean, I think we have 3 weeks till the 4th of July. so
Yeah,
it would be
I was hoping to have
pretty
this
sure
well.
we would put it together, not that we can,
Right.
but,
Yeah,
I mean, if we're talking burgers and dogs, like,
that's for something
we
simple.
can do that, we got that Blackstone.
Corn and, yeah, corn, hot dogs and hamburgers, something very simple, very easy.
Yeah,
I know we only have, I know,
You could grill up your own hot dogs. It'd be JP's Dogs.
JP's dogs.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. I don't think I can put my name on it.
Why not?
I don't know.
Fine, put somebody else's name on it.
Tommy's, there you go.
By JP.
As it's,
It's a great idea, but I mean, I think you definitely need more planning behind it, and it'd probably be something that's more NPCA focused.
Yeah, we're out of
than
time.
I mean, I think if you're doing something simple, like the corn, if you
Yeah.
wanna do the corn, and you wanna do hamburgers or hot dogs or something like that, maybe just pick one, just do hot dogs or something.
something simple and fast, yeah.
I think you can do it in 3 weeks.
Like hot dogs, maybe a can of pop and some chips.
I mean, for
and-
40, 50 bucks, you could feed a lot of people hot dogs.
That's
and
true,
buns.
yeah.
Right.
Especially with the Costco membership.
I think if it's, hey, we just wanna appreciate our residents kind of thing and stop by the, I don't know if the black, no, I don't think the Blackstone's over there, it's probably right outside.
Yeah.
You know, stop by the pool, we'll have some hot dogs for you, it's open to everyone.
And I can roll over a little too.
Yeah, microwave hot dogs too.
Or
You can
maybe-
microwave them.
Maybe we don't even charge, we just say donations
That's
or,
fine.
you know, I don't know, just an idea.
That's fine. I'm not opposed to that, and I think we can do that.
Let us know what you want about.
It's a Friday, it's a great weekend to do something fun.
Is it on a Friday this month?
Yeah.
What's it accepted?
I don't even know what day it is. It's kind of how I feel at this point.
I know we need to discuss, oh, is it okay to move on?
It's your show, buddy.
Alright, leaf bids. I talked to Brad, just texted him, he said he did email that to us, so we gotta check on that leaf bid. But going back to the tunnel erosion,
Who would he have emailed it to? Sorry for her.
Tiffany, I believe,
Okay, so
or
do
an assistant.
Hey, Squirrel, can we stick to the topic? Are we talking leaf bits or are we talking the tunnel?
Both.
Okay.
And here's why. So Groundmaster Landscaping was for the leaf bids. Why don't we have him look at the tunnel before that turns into a $500 million project? I was gonna ask, maybe ask him to have
I think
him.
our engineer is looking into that. So,
Yeah, but that's gonna cost a lot of money when we could have,
I,
you know, him do just as easy as, or good of a job.
we have to, as a village administrative board body, we have to make sure we're crossing our Ts and dotting our Is. I know a lot of times we wanna take the least expensive road out, but it could lead to legal, litigation issues down the road should it not be done properly.
Well, I'm saying is like having him look at it, give us a quote, and just see, what's the plan for fixing this? What would your idea be?
That's what our engineer does. He comes back and says, hey, this is what we need to do to fix it.
It's not gonna cost us $1 million to have him do that?
I don't know what it's gonna cost. It's not gonna cost us $1 million to have him give us
You
that
know what I'm, yeah, but,
amount, and I don't think it's gonna cost $1 million to actually fix it, but, it's not gonna be cheap if we're gonna fix it and fix it right.
yeah.
And when I say cheap, I mean, we're not talking $20,000 around here. So, go ahead.
There's actually two places that have to be addressed. There's erosion just beyond the spillway.
Yeah.
Mike Flickinger is very much aware of that, and having someone look at that one, along with the erosion down by the tunnel, as to how it has to be properly taken care of so it doesn't continue to erode and create more problems. So,
That runs under a road.
Yeah,
And if it's not fixed properly, we could be damaging the road above it, and then we're talking millions of dollars to fix it.
yeah, that's why.
Because if you over dam it, then you've created a backup at that point.
I think we're all in agreement that it needs to be addressed, but I think we need to go through, let's listen to what
That's fine.
our engineer says.
if I recall, Mike Flickinger's suggestion was to look into that and getting that taken care of before we go any further with the lakes. Because at this point,
Yeah,
the cost to address anything with the lakes is well beyond our means. And what potential federal funding and state funding was potentially available is gone.
We're on hold.
I'd like to say that, but
So JP, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know that we officially said yes to him. I think he kind of took a strong vote last meeting and we were like, yeah, we think you need to do this. I don't know if that needs to be, if we have to read that or vote on it, but, Mike shifting gears from the lake to the spillway and
I think that's
the
fair.
erosion.
Tunnel, yeah.
How do we formally make sure that we're communicating that to our engineer?
I think we sent
That we want them to look at the tunnel and,
I'm gonna see him tomorrow.
Is it just us saying, we want you to do this task order instead? Is that all we have to do? Okay.
Oh,
I assume, yeah.
sorry.
Well, let's
Tom.
do that. Let's, how much did we say I'd left 130 in that? Was it 130?
on one contract or task order for the lakes, I think it was around that.
Okay.
We can further have a further discussion with Mike on that to see
Yeah.
how we can rework that, okay?
I mean, I'd like to see it done as inexpensive as possible, the engineering part.
Yes.
of it, At least the investigation into it.
Hey, no matter what, it's not gonna be cheap, because getting any kind of equipment down there to fix it is expensive too. And at least my conversation with Mike on that, we could be looking at $1 million to fix the two places. But you also have to be concerned about the water flow downstream. Because we could fix one problem and create another problem upstream.
Obviously, we rely on Mike for a lot of the projects, very clear. What, from the council perspective, maybe your perspective, Mayor Tiffany, what are some things we should ask, questions we should ask? Because I don't know the infrastructure type stuff, but I do know, walking the path a couple times in the last week, yes, sure, the damage under the bridge is there, and it will, that asphalt will fall down, and we've all seen it in our lifetime, but, you know, I would just like, we don't have to answer that now, I would just like to know how we address those things.
So we've brought it to Mike's attention.
Yeah, hey.
He's actually got somebody coming up, I believe, from Cincinnati to take a look at this, that is more experienced with that, and will be advised from that point on as to where we need to go in the process.
Gotcha. So, and I always would rely on experts for sure, don't take it that way, but I do, one of the things I noticed right off the bat is that erosion that's happening is no different than it was 10 years ago.
I think it is.
And I would also argue that it's pretty far from the property lines.
So I think the concern is that.
I mean, 50 feet,
Which one?
probably the one that cuts back like close to the path. It's gotta be a solid 30, 40 feet. And so,
I think we're talking about different things. So we're talking about the erosion by the dam that is causing damage to the bridge that is old and has been left over from the golf course, which was never engineered
Yeah.
appropriately for a walking path.
okay,
That is our
so the
concern.
bridge erosion is one thing. I thought you were
Right.
talking about
That's the third
multiple.
topic.
up the hill. Oh, that's the third one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're trying to
So we're
put this all together and engineer it as
So,
effectively as possible to be like, hey, can you look at all this and see what's urgent and what's not, and then try to find a budget for that.
so again, only reason I'm asking has nothing to do with what maybe should be done. It's 3 parts of a project. I would say there is, I just love to have the discussions about how we can do it effectively, efficiently and effectively. Because I say that because now there's 2 issues right there in that same little pathway.
Correct.
Right?
So, I believe about 2 years ago, Mike looked at that bridge that you're talking about and the erosion that around it, along with the second one. And his estimate was $300,000 to replace
That's
each bridge.
Right.
Great.
And so I just want to open it up as we talk about it over the next couple of months, whatever. I want to make sure we're addressing it in a way that makes sense, right? So, because here's my thinking. There is a solution that I mentioned to Mike as he was walking out, that, you know, it doesn't help, but it does help, but it also changes the direction of the conversation. If it's $1 million to fix that erosion by the dam and the bridge, let's just say,
Okay.
Can you just get rid of the path there?
How do you walk there?
You walk around the
Or you
neighborhood and you walk
walk
down the path.
How do you walk over the bridge?
Well, you're not getting rid of the path at the dam, you're getting rid of the path down to the.
Just take away the pathway down the hill.
I'm just, all I'm asking
So-
is how do we approach those and be the new guy? I can do this for at least the next couple months.
What we can throw out to Mike and ask him to consider the erosion occurring at that bridge at the same time as the pathway, because they're very close together.
I think
So if,
Right.
if the erosion can be fixed, that the bridge need not be replaced, we're in business.
Well, we did go over, there's a huge, if you don't mind me saying, JP took a big picture of it. There's a crack in that bridge, so there is like, it's a huge one too, like, right?
Hold on, let me just correct you real quick on a couple things.
I think
He said it has not changed in 10 years. In 2 years,
Yeah,
it has
that's
changed drastically. I can tell you that right
But
now.
remember when,
I think
And
you
hold
know
on,
the
hold
history
on.
before.
Then on top of that, there's a multiple problem going on right there with the dam.
okay,
On the sidewalk.
I'm not here to debate, I just wanna know what the question we can ask, because I don't think it's fair, what I see, we're a small community.
Yes.
And what is fair, in all fairness, we have an engineer who's going to provide pretty legit data, let's throw that out there. But how do we question and address, like, what do we really need?
Well, in this
Well, you
case,
guys don't care.
we can raise the question to Mike and let him address
That's
it.
fair, I wasn't
That's
debating.
usually the path that goes.
I want to echo one thing that JP said, because this is becoming more and more important to me over time. I think that Mike Flickinger is an incredible asset to this village. His history is incredible and invaluable. However, since his little firm has merged with Jacobs, he is now part of the largest engineering firm in the world. Anyone who thinks that we're not paying a premium for that is kidding yourselves. And so I have to admit, when Mike comes in, I see him for strategic planning, and he and Eric, kind of deciding this is the next thing we're going for, and I get that. But when it comes to actually how do we do things and how do we get stuff done, how do we get a bridge, I want to start getting other quotes. I just, for my personal peace of mind, I feel like we need to expand the bidding for the things that we do, and possibly even expand how do we do it. And I'm just going to be blunt and say, because I feel like Eric and Mike, I understand this, I'm sure that's how they've been directed. We're not Dublin. We're not New Albany. And to continue to look at our projects on a scale, and with, especially with engineering services that are Dublin and New Albany level services, I no longer feel is completely appropriate. I'm not saying get rid of them. Everyone listening to this, I am not, because we do especially need Mike's background, but is a $300,000 bridge the only answer? I'm not confident that the answer to that is yes. And
I think
If
we've
I may
talked
reiterate-
about this before.
We have, I do agree with you. I think, I don't, look,
You're not
we
wrong.
have to, we are entrusted with the funds of this village, right? That's why we've been elected. And if we don't question it every once in a while, then we're not doing our job. So I think it's right to question it, and let's just throw it out there.
yeah,
Mike's not the one doing all the work, it actually gets
Yeah, it gets bid out.
Yes,
it gets,
passed around to those that have the expertise within the firm.
right,
Right.
And it's not always somebody here in Columbus.
your key words were within the firm.
yeah.
Yes.
And I'm kind of saying, there needs to be an opportunity for us as a village to possibly go outside of the firm, and I know that's not how it works, I know that's not how bids work,
And
that's not what I'm
I
saying,
raised
but,
the question about EMH&T, who was responsible for some of that work with MI. getting involved and looking at that.
Fixing it.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so again, and this is something for discussion, it's something that potentially over time we'll just come up with a position as to how council feels about this kind of stuff.
the other thing we could look at is, how are their rates for
Right.
the staff compared to other firms?
It's well worth looking at.
I think we've guys, so just for reference, I think we did look at that, and the unfortunate thing that we run into sometimes is that we are such a small village, but our needs are so vast that like one person, I don't think would be able to handle all of we need a jack of all trades engineer, but I don't know if that person exists for.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, and I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying, Mike has the institutional knowledge and he has the grasp of everything that has been done here, that we want to have done here. I'm kind of like, I'm trying to think of a really good analogy and I'm not going to come up with one, but we definitely need, as long as the village can afford it, we need to be able to keep Mike, and what I really mean by Mike, I mean Jacobs. But do we really need to pay the expense for Jacobs' staff to do all the, to be the coordinators of all the projects within the village? That's what I'm asking, and I know Mike's gonna say it has to be our staff, we don't direct third-party contractors, all that sort of thing. And I'm just saying, it's a huge, it's a bigger discussion, and.
Yeah, Mineral Park doesn't
I
have
will
to
tell
pay
you
for
though,
a Ferrari.
this is a hill I'm gonna die on.
Okay,
With sewers and anything that
Yeah.
involves basements,
yeah,
I refuse to find anybody else because he's done such wonders for all of us. I think it would be such a disservice to everybody to be like, well, maybe some guy off the street could do a better job. I refuse to use anybody at this point unless there's something that changes. He has about 20 years of knowledge of all of our sewers.
Yes.
And that to me, again,
yeah,
I'm the streets lady. That is so important to me.
Yeah.
And I think that they should be engineering the new sewers to tie into the old sewers and like those
Yes.
big projects.
yes.
I don't think that would be a good idea for us. And that concerns me because I feel like we're planting these seeds.
And it's
For the
part of-
smaller projects, for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm asking.
For the
Can we
smaller
just
projects,
look?
absolutely.
Yes.
I think Mike is stretched thin time-wise too, and he needs to focus on the big deal things. in
The
our
strategic, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, and the critically important, like
Yeah.
sewers and streets and the things that tie us all together. But some of these more one-off things,
So,
village. Right.
that's.
I don't mean to get us off
Keep in
track.
mind that Mike and Jacobs, the firm,
Mm-hmm.
puts together either the RFP or the bid document that goes out
Mm-hmm.
to the contractors to get this work done. No matter how you look at it, a bid document has to be put together with the appropriate engineering that goes with it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right,
So he's just giving the plan to be like, okay, and then.
And that's why Mike comes in, he's got a great deal of knowledge as to what's going on in
Yeah.
this village on things. And even the annual CCTV work that gets
yeah.
done.
mm-hmm,
Okay, that's still an RFP, they outline it because they're what needs to be taken care of.
mm-hmm,
Goes out for written proposal, comes back, and we choose the best bidder essentially on that. Okay?
I just want to be able to ask the question, is there a different, more cost-effective way of doing what's being suggested? Because I keep coming back to, it's the top engineering firm, literally in the world.
Yeah.
And of course, they're not going to take chances, and we don't want anyone to take chances, but I can't help but feel that,
We're
I mean, the lakes are
$100,000 bridge.
To me, the lakes are a good example. I mean, from what I got out of the meeting last night, I don't have the historical knowledge, I get it. But I will tell you this, he was obviously moving on from doing the lakes, right? So,
Yeah.
and here's why I say, give us a venue to question things, because I'm gonna tell you the truth. What I heard from him was that, hey, we need to move on,
Right.
okay?
You know why?
I get a pretty clear picture. I can tell you this,
What is it?
I-
Why did you decide?
I,
That's what I'm saying, is like, we can't say these things because it seems almost dangerous, because the reason that he said move on is we can't afford any of
and that's
that.
why we shouldn't have the conversation for the last 3-4 years.
Well, he
So
also-
that's why I'm saying, to question. I'm
Right, so-
gonna question that erosion, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay,
I-
tell me, here's the deal. You need to listen to those old recordings before we jump into this.
The erosion is not an old recording.
It is. It is.
No, we've talked about it amongst council, but I don't think we've talked.
And I just want to say, I thought it was very keen of him to say, let's move past the blades. I think it's a really good thing. Because, and now, do we push the erosion? That's another question. I want to be able to I hope there's a venue, this would be it, to just say, hey.
Okay, can I just clarify some things when it comes to that? So here's what happened. We want to do the lakes. We have money from the TIF and all of that stuff, kind of, a little bit of money left. And we were like, oh, maybe we'll have a little bit more money and maybe we can do the lakes. Mike approximated, hey, this is gonna cost millions of dollars, you guys don't have that kind of money and you won't come up with that kind of money. You have this little money left over and it's going to go to waste. Why don't you focus on something else so that money doesn't go to waste? This is a really good pressing thing that's more important, that's probably in your budget. That's what happened, but us saying like, well, what about this or what about that? Yes, guys, we can do that, but time is of the essence at this point because we're running out of time and basically, this is the person that can streamline it. Yes, it may be a little bit more expensive, but it's right there and it's low-hanging fruit, and we would be doing a disservice if we didn't explore it. So us questioning all of this, though, to me is...
If we don't question these things,
But we're wasting a lot of time.
I think we waste lots of time on the lakes, from what I know.
But
So-
at this point, we can't waste any more time. So we can't, but you're gonna lose $150,000.
If we can address the TIF conversation too, because I'm not quite sure the timing is what I understand. I think that there might, I just like to know that too, because I've heard mixed stories on that.
So,
I think that when Michael was here last weekend, we had that meeting, what he's trying to say is we have some more serious issues before we go addressing the lake, like the erosion, which is...
I just said that.
Right, but
Great.
I'll drop it. I just want to make sure, I just want to understand the venue and how we can question those things.
You're not gonna catch up on that. Okay.
yeah, I think we need to move on.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. We need to have the
For
discussions, and that's not the issue.
No, I agree with you.
But we have limited time in
Yeah.
this particular session, so we need to kind of focus on getting through what we need to get through.
all right,
But,
I'm sorry.
No,
I was just gonna move on to say, can I postpone the leaf bids until next meeting, until he's sent this email?
it's here somewhere.
He said he sent it, but
That's
we
fine.
don't know where
Tiffany
it's...
probably has.
I think, well, let me just ask this question to council, right? Is anyone opposed to going with, Brad? Yeah,
Five
Brad-
Seasons?
No,
Oh,
Brad
sorry.
Masters for the league.
No.
We've been using them,
Yeah.
We're happy.
so.
We could
if
potentially
have
get a
the
3-year
bid
deal.
And it fits in the budget,
It
can we
does.
start reading, and if we need to change something, we can change it.
And it's a
Couple of
3-year.
things on the leaf
Yes.
contract.
Yeah, go for it.
There was an RFP that went out.
Okay.
There's 2 responses. Brad,
5 seasons and.
5 seasons.
5 seasons,
Yeah.
and Brad were the 2 responders. Brad's 37,000,
No,
5 seasons is 35.
no. I talked to Brad. It's gonna be 30, this is what we talked about the last meeting, 2 meetings ago, that it was Brad, I texted him in 5 minutes, he brought it down to 35 a year. So they're actually the same amount of money. The other one had a 7% increase, every single year. And Brad, if anything, it might be a 5% increase, for inflation on every single year, but still Brad's cheaper and he's gonna be doing the gutter cleanup or whatever on,
But we need that in writing, we can't be like, hey, they
Yeah,
they
well,
texted
well, that's not
some
in the
guy.
5 seasons though.
Right, but we need, like, we can't just be like, oh, the guy said in a text, I need like an official, this is.
I can
official.
assure you, we'll have that email like
I
I
don't,
said.
okay.
I mean, you wanna see?
Show me the email. No, I think she just wants to see it. She wants to be in
I don't
writing.
have that.
Well, when you get it, we're talking about it.
Yeah, I can't go out there text to a guy, that's what I mean.
Okay, that's what I was about.
We just need an official thing, dude.
So,
I don't know.
hey,
Whatever,
here's the thing, we did this last year, we started reading it without actually naming who it is in
Okay.
it. I think we can start that process again.
Really, all it takes is a motion of council to direct the mayor to enter into a contract It is under the bid limit, so it need not be officially approved by ordinance of council
Okay.
at this point. That's all
Sorry,
that's
Tiffany, we're
necessary.
talking about the Five Seasons and
Yes.
the bid for the lead pickup and also Groundmaster Landscaping. I'm recommending going with Groundmaster's Landscaping. They've been with us a solid 2 years. It's the same price as the Five Seasons. And not only that, we've had wonderful reviews. That's what you kind of missed out on.
Yeah, if we don't have to vote on it, I feel like we voted on it in the past. but if
We
don't
have
to vote
voted on it, yeah.
Again, in conversation with Mike, he's responded in writing on this. It's under the bid limit, so it's not something that council formally has to approve. So a simple motion directing the mayor to enter into a contract with it works perfectly. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
So then we don't have to read 3 readings, we can just do the motion.
As long as we get it in writing.
I have it in writing.
The 35.
Yeah,
Do the 35 in writing?
No, that, I'm sorry, I have Mike's response.
Oh, yeah.
With it in the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just want the price in writing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have not seen it, and I don't have it in writing yet.
That's what I'm saying, is like, let's just
Okay.
get it in writing.
Sure.
Be safe. Hey, Mike.
I mean, it's $2,000 difference.
Yeah. Okay, what else?
So, maybe you have one?
Yeah, real quick, just go into council pay. We talked about this a little bit before, but everyone talk about it together. I don't think we've got to do that.
About what?
Council pay.
Okay.
We touched base on it, maybe like.
You weren't here, Jason, but I
Oh, yeah, you weren't here, sorry. I motioned to, postpone that, table it, sorry.
Tabled it because we wanted it to be tied.
Yeah, everyone wanted to be here, sorry.
I was here for that.
Yeah, he was here for
Oh,
that.
you was?
I was here for that.
Somebody wasn't here.
Maybe I wasn't here, but I kept up.
Oh, okay, Tony wasn't here.
My understanding was that I think, Jason, you would address both the solicitor of the village as well as the finance officer, hopefully come together with a formula that could base the salaries of council and the mayor off of a state entity or some federal Franklin County, whatever, peg it to a specific salary, and then we can create a mathematical formula. That way the things rise together, council, mayor, and then we can eliminate the need in the future from,
Correct.
and I thought that's where we left it at, for them to collaborate on what would be a good formula for that.
And yes, the ordinance can be written to allow for an annual increase based upon a consumer price index. There is one out there that annually can be looked at, documented, and used as a basis.
Okay.
Do you have to have like a starting point for that, for it to
The
be?
initial starting point would be the base salary that gets set. From
So they
that-
still have to come up with that?
Yes, from that point on, it becomes the formula for the increase. Well, the increase is the formula.
And a new council member coming in gets that base pay and then increase.
Well,
That would be
Well,
something that would timing wise, I have to work out with Mike as to how that's gonna work, because currently, an increase that takes place before
Doesn't.
August, any new members elected in November would get that increase. Those last 2 members existing that have 2-year term left, 2 years on the term, would not get that increase. Okay? As an appointed member, but I'm not sure which term you're fulfilling, you would be eligible for that increase.
And 4 years from now, though, a new council member, where do they start?
It would be at the base formula plus, or the base plus the formula
That
increases.
happened over that previous 4
Yes.
years, right? So it would always increase by the CPI.
Yes, and as a kind of an example I can use, state statute allows for certain judges, county officials, and township officials for their salary to increase 1.75% each year. And it goes back about several years as, here's the base, and then it calculates 1.75% every year. It's not tied to an index, but they put that in statute.
It's less than the CPI in general.
Correct.
Right.
So the formula, you have to keep computing going forwards with it.
What's industry standard?
Right now, it's up to the state legislator, and they set the statute on how this works.
Gotcha.
Okay? Council can determine what the salary is for themselves. You pass an ordinance, and depending upon the time frame and the election as to who gets it.
And I saw your numbers, so Jeff, you would be, whatever that range is, you would be okay with what, that, yeah.
It's a minimal increase that occurs for council members, even starting at a base of 400.
Yeah,
Okay? It's just, my concern is, how does that fit into the rest of the state and villages of equal size?
right. And then is council connected, I know we talk about the mayor's salary at the same time, is that pretty typical from what you can tell?
Again, that's usually up to council to set, but if you compare it to other municipalities of equal size and budget, that's what you want to look at.
You want to look,
Okay.
that's all, thanks.
Okay,
And again, what also comes back into play, and this conversation's taking place too, is the mayor the one really running the show, or is there an administrator and the mayor is a figurehead that,
So this isn't a question as much as a statement, is it fair to say that the job description isn't really correct right now?
What's the job description?
what, for me?
That word, yeah. Yeah, we're talking about mayor.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
I mean, she is, but I think that, I only bring that up because I know that's an issue and it is a big issue.
I'm not sure there's a true job description for the mayor. What's addressed is in statute as to what the mayor's function is,
Yeah.
and those duties.
In the ORC, it basically states this is what the mayor does, but if I don't do it, then chief does it, and if chief doesn't do it, then Jeff does, I mean, at the end of the day, somebody has to do something. I mean,
So in this scenario, should we, it's gonna be weird to say this, but council's one thing, whatever that is decided upon, and then the mayor, and you know, Tiffany's not gonna be the mayor forever, love to have
I
her.
hope she is, shush.
Love to have her. But I mean, there will be a change, right? And we wanna make sure that the same, whatever that job description is.
Well, yeah, and it depends upon the direction that this village is gonna go.
Right.
Are you going to employ a village administrator, thereby reducing the requirements and the time frame of the mayor?
Right.
Or are we gonna continue with a strong mayor that runs and manages the village?
Gotcha.
Okay, mayor still has to follow what council says.
So how do we get this on the agenda? JP, I think that's kind of, I wanna, how do we get this on the agenda?
Or is it?
I think,
So, I'm gonna-
so council.
you guys are
we have
in
a time.
there you go.
Yeah, we have a deadline, because we have to have this passed before, before anyone that's running for office, before that closes. So that's like
Just August.
August 1st or something
I
like
think it's August 5th.
August 5th, right? So we have to have it passed by that time. And does the 30 days have to pass too, or just, I don't know.
I believe it would have to be done by emergency, so it's in effect.
All right. The mayor, technically, we still have 2 more years.
Yeah, you don't have to
So
worry.
we don't have to do it, however, we can always have the discussion about a village administrator. My thought, and we've had this discussion before, is with 4 members of council potentially changing, it's a discussion for next year's council. So let's let the next group decide that.
Yes.
So that's what, I think what we decided when we talked about this maybe, 3 weeks ago or so? Yeah.
So now you guys are in a time crunch, so I'm gonna tell you, you have 3 meetings
Right.
now that this legislation has to be read. If you're going to read it 3 times, which I do think it's important, I mean, as much as we get in trouble for not reading it 3 times, when it's your guys' salary or potentially, I think everybody would agree.
I am under the feeling, and our attorney is not here, but I know he said if we're gonna make a big change to it, we should start over again. However, if we stick with the base salary that we've already read twice, and just add that it increases by the CPI, is that what it is? I don't feel like that's a major enough change that we have to start readings over again.
I would have to give you the exact CPI.
That's fine.
Can you look into that, please? Since
Yeah.
we're in.
And-
I have.
Okay.
And
Do you have a number for us?
we can,
Do you have a number for
modify
us?
Jesse, just
Do I
to
have
see.
A number?
But I feel like if we're just adding a line.
Right
to
now,
it,
I think the CPI is
then
running about
probably can
2.9.
just amend it, bring it back to us, do the 3rd reading, be done with it.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. Well, then let's get it up to
So-
Mr. Legislation. Right?
Certainly.
Will you work with,
Just-
yes.
I don't think we started an ordinance on the mayor's salary. We had one out
Correct.
there on council salaries.
Correct.
Right, that's what I'm doing.
So are you wanting both pieces?
No, let's just do.
The time crunch one is procrastination.
Just the council, because council is this year.
Because we're
And then-
forcing to.
Oh, all right, that's, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because that way in January, they can, well, that doesn't have to be January, but essentially, they can decide if they want a village administrator or not, or,
So that was my brain for
So for the 26th meeting, tell me, or Mr. Council President, if you can work with our attorney and our fiscal officer on updating that, our current one that we read twice, hopefully. And we'll take it off the table and we can read it the third time and vote on it.
Yeah, I think Jesse, that was on his list. I think he already said he was gonna work on it. It's just.
Sure thing.
You might need a,
Was there amounts in that?
that was the question.
There was an amount in there.
Okay.
he said you have to have a base. So as long as you have the base,
We can just add, I feel like we can just add a line and says, and this will increase by the.
Do the base,
CPI.
increased by CPI
Yes,
annual.
annually.
so is everybody fine with the base, I think is the
I'm
further
fine.
question.
I'm fine with the base.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the base was.
450?
It's 150, I believe. Was that what it was?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
yeah,
Whatever, yeah.
okay. Good job.
All right.
Okay.
JP, anything else?
Sir?
Sir?
No, motion to, oh, sorry, I don't.
Hang on.
Wait, we have.
No, we have-
we have-
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I think that, I stepped out, obviously, for a minute. If you guys have done this, you can tell me that.
We did.
No, we're in the work session.
No, I mean, did we go over
We
any?
have not went over the agenda.
Okay. So I'm in zero hurry and I feel like I would rather do that stuff in this meeting than to start asking questions in the next one.
Yeah.
Because that's more of the business one. So, because I know, and maybe there's no questions on any of these. But can we just run through those two
Yeah.
really fast?
Isn't that the station?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I don't have, I mean, I don't know if you wanna read them or if you just, anybody wants to just see if there's questions.
Why don't I just read them and then, do you want me to read them?
Go for it.
What are we reading?
I talk too much.
Legislation?
Legislation,
I don't
okay,
have the
15.
packet, sorry.
Oh, you want me to read it? Oh,
or
yeah,
you
yeah.
read- Actually, yeah, you're.
Yeah, legislation on tap tonight is, motion to suspend the rules to require 3 readings, ordinance 2025-11.
Which is,
This is concession pricing, and I'm
and the
sorry, I
reasoning
wrote
for
it.
that is because we need to buy.
Yeah, an ordinance setting a policy for pricing of concessions, special event emissions. Yeah, it's basically doing the discounts we had last year, putting it on the thing.
Why is this an ordinance?
Because I think there were some omissions when we first passed it, and we found the omissions, and now we need to amend it in order to institute it for this year.
I thought we did
As
every
opposed
year.
to a resolution? That's, I'm sorry, I should have said the whole question. Because an ordinance I always thought was like permanent forever and ever, and resolution was, here's what we're doing for now, Bart.
I ran that question by Jesse.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He actually responded on vacation. I'm like, why are you answering this question? But he said because it was an ordinance last year
Oh,
we
okay.
did it, that it was okay to do it as an ordinance this time.
Got it, thank you.
But it needs to be done as an ordinance?
Yes, since it was an ordinance last time, he said it was fine to keep it as an ordinance.
But we could have done it either way.
Yes.
Well, we're here now.
I'm sorry, now I
There's no
have
wrong
to
answer.
back
I
up.
think the big question is, that was asked on this one, was, and in all fairness, all Tony did was recopy what we did last year. We had had no discussions about this at all as a council.
Yes.
But if we want to pass something and have it used for pool season, we need to do it fast, because otherwise, if we do the 3 readings and everything, most of the season's over with.
Do we know if something has already been acknowledged in 2025 that's in this document?
Yes,
That,
fully discounted, 20%.
so people are getting it currently?
Cameron, my son, yeah. He mentioned it, he's like, because it's like 50%, and then John told him that it would only get 20%.
We removed it from the
I think
system.
we pulled them all out of the system.
Or maybe it was just removed. Either way, it's changed from last year.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
removed. Well, and that was the other thing. was in the legislation, one of them said 15% and something else said, I think it was showing 20 in square, but legislation said 15 or vice versa. Do you remember?
I know what you're saying, but I don't remember.
I don't remember which way it was. So there was a discrepancy from that to that.
So right now, there are none.
Right.
So the follow-up question was, the only question that we had or that we raised when we were talking about it is, some of the prices have actually gone up from last year to this year. And if we don't go in and adjust some of those prices, if we do discounts, I don't want to use the word going in the hole, but we will be extremely close to going in the hole on some of these items. So I think the question is are we really going to bump up prices just to give discounts, or are we just going to give, or do we want to, I don't want to speak for council, are we trying to give discounts to get people to buy more things? Are we trying to get discounts so people feel like they're getting a discount? Are we,
I think we're
so
just
I don't
trying
want to
to
step on
appreciate-
toes.
I think we're just trying to make sure that the people who make this happen for us feel appreciated in whatever capacity we're capable of doing. So it's not about profits. I don't think we should make the poll about profits or all this. This is a service that we're providing. We are trying to pay for this and then a little bit extra to make sure that our pool continues to stay nice. So we're getting a little bit and we're putting it towards the pool. And we should maybe give the people that are making this happen for us a break to show our appreciation. I don't think this is like a true capitalistic ruse by any means. We're just trying to decide. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to.
And
make sure
I think that's the
everybody
question.
feels appreciated.
If the question
That's my
is,
point.
yeah, if the question is, we're just trying to make sure residents know we appreciate them and they're getting a discount, and, I mean, at some of these things, I feel like I'm gonna have you guys go buy stuff, and I'm gonna go to the pool, because I can actually get it cheaper at the pool than I can go buy it myself.
Yeah, and we can make changes to this, like, it doesn't have to be 20% for employees, it can be 10, like, they don't, I think some of that's just showing appreciation. However, I will say that employee discount, and we didn't, it doesn't say it in here, but it applies to entry fees as well for,
But I don't know.
day passes.
Okay. Can we do that with passing legislate, well, now that we did this, I guess this would supersede that.
Yes, I would think it would supersede that. So, we have some officers that will just come for the day, and, instead of paying $12 because they're not residents, although I think we did pass that if you work in the village, which they do, they can get a
They do,
resident
yes,
rate.
they do.
But,
So would they get a discount, would they get 20% off if the resident comes? If they're an employee?
There's a point of the pool.
I think that's I guess that's
Yeah, we need to
completely.
specify, it would need to say off of day passes or something like that.
Because if they're paying, if a resident,
And we don't have to give it, I'm just saying.
if an employee is getting in for $12, they wouldn't get the $12 plus the 20%, or would they?
I mean, this is getting into the weeds, I think it's like,
Yeah.
It's too complicated.
Okay, but they have to know what the
No,
rules
I
are down
know.
there.
Yeah, we need to,
But-
unfortunately, we have to.
Yeah.
okay for them, please.
so it's like, it's the same as it was last year. What was done last year? Do the same thing.
We can.
I mean, I thought that's what this was.
Here would be I would recommend
Okay.
you drop the 20 down to 10.
Okay.
I still think 10 is fair, right? I mean, it's better than nothing. And if they don't want to take it, I know John doesn't use it.
I don't use it.
I don't use it, right? But that's how life goes, right? The food and drink one was if you buy a food and a drink, you get a discount, kind of like a combo meal type of thing. Doesn't have to be 50 cents, we can drop it to 25.
I think the thought was it's like all the change and stuff, so we don't really mess with that. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
It's like keep it even. Do you
There's no
remember
way to keep it even.
that?
I mean, because unless everything was 1 cent price.
I appreciate appreciating everybody, but I feel like it is so much work for so little benefit. And it's so tough for administration to actually implement it. And you're asking concession people to know it or recognize an employee or ask if they're an employee. And there's so many if this, then that. Like, I think that the benefit is actually just having the service available instead of
Yeah.
giving a discount. So I put this thing together, but I'm not in favor of it because I think it just overcomplicates the whole situation. That's my opinion.
I see what you're saying.
I think there's a couple that are beneficial, especially like the end of season.
Yeah.
So I'm in agreement, I'm in agreement with making it, if we can get rid of the stuff at the end of the year, it's better than it going to waste.
Can we talk about the stuff that isn't in there anymore?
Excuse me.
I mean,
For example, we lowered the price of all the premium memberships by $10, but there's still a $10 concession credit in that legislation.
unfortunately, they all got a $10 credit because we did not have pool pass taken out.
Okay.
Or pool dues taken out.
Oh,
So
okay.
when you look in there,
Okay,
it actually says it's in there, which it shouldn't have been.
okay.
Um,
And then does the early bird go there? Should that, since early bird was passed into the pool fees, does that need to be taken out?
no,
I don't mean to cause problems, I'm just, Christine and I, who's the concession manager, asked some questions. She also did ask if she could, when this is approved, if there could be a section inserted allowing her some time to get this in the system and train the employees.
Right. And then my only thing is like the kids that are working at the pool, I feel like them getting lunch and a hot dog should be a little bit cheaper. Like I feel like that.
We don't even have that stuff anymore.
Oh, we don't even have that?
No, because we threw away like 300 hot dogs.
Oh.
I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating. How many, it was the whole thing.
What about like the Smucker's Review Days? They have those.
I mean, yeah, I shouldn't say we threw them away, but they were brought down here. So, and I don't even know that they carried them again this year, because we tried to get some sort of food item, and I don't know that they really have much now.
We also sold 4 s'more kits last year. So there was kind of an executive decision between the mayor and Christine and myself to not do s'mores.
we only did that for special events.
Correct, yeah.
So do we need, does that chart, the exhibit, need to be reviewed?
Yeah.
It does, that's what we're trying to do right
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Do you want to start at the top and just go down?
Sure.
And again, I'm hearing what Tommy's saying, do we even want to do it?
Yeah.
So we got two different things going on.
Can I see the list to be like,
Yes.
this isn't even worth it? Okay, employee discount for concessions, food and drink, 4 items, 50 cents. Oh, it's like a combo, nah. Ice cream. Guys, do we really need this?
That's what I said.
I'm a no.
I think
I'm
if we
already
get
in
closer
on
to the end of
it.
the year, this one might be a good one.
I
And that
think,
would be
yeah, I
the
agree.
just trying to, or, I mean,
Yep.
I don't think we can just do it. I think that is the whole point of why we had to do legislation, but, maybe middle of July or beginning of August, we revisit this part and do it as
Yes.
an emergency.
I agree.
Unless you wanna do employee and that, I don't know.
I think maybe employees 10 and then all products in the season is easy and easy now. Yeah? I think employees should get a little, and I think full employees maybe? Or is that too hard? Full employees. I don't need my 10%.
What if we just
I feel
did
like the kids
10% all
do.
across the board?
I'm not running employees.
It's your guys' choice.
So,
There's still one back in the freezer.
There's still
The
what?
hot dog? You guys wanna share it?
Can I get a 10%
It's like
discount
a
on that?
40, it's like a 40 pack.
Does the Blackstone have gas?
There's enough for
Holy
5.
firehouse.
I'm in.
Can council get a hot dog night?
Yes, JP's running it.
I know.
I don't know how good you're old. I don't know how good they are.
They're brand new.
I'm hearing that we're gonna amend this to include only a 10% discount and then all products 50% off at the end of the season?
Yes, sir.
15 off? 50.
50.
Do I need to rewrite this for next session? Is
It's
that,
in there, we can just amend it,
Just get rid of the middle.
we can just amend
Or we could have her go do it really fast and bring it back and did we want to try to add that line that it takes well, that's only 2 items, so I'm sure we could get that put in, and one's not till the end of the
Yes.
season. So that wouldn't matter.
Do
We wouldn't
you
want
want me
that.
to go and revise it right
it.
now?
It really should just be turning it back on.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah. So that'll be simple.
Please do that.
Well, and adjusting it will take 7 seconds.
If somebody will push go live when you're ready to go live.
Do you want to do that, or do you just want to
Let's
just amend it? We'll just do it on the fly.
We just amend it.
I'm
So
looking
just
at it right
read
now.
the 2 items, and then she will redo this form with Exhibit A tomorrow with those 2 items.
Just to this?
This barb's amazing.
You got it. We got it. He's already got it amended.
Got it.
Barb. He already did it amended.
We're advanced council people.
I know, and Chief was so excited to be able to push the button.
No, but.
Where do you want to share this to? Share.
Okay, next is,
For resolution
Officer.
2025-14. I'll just read it since you're.
Please, thank you.
A resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Amber Blackburn as a full-time police officer for the village of Minerva Park, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. So we will waive the readings and declare it an emergency tonight.
Yes, and we've talked to Jessie about that because in the past, people have wanted to just read it 3 times and Jessie even recommended because she is on our payroll, but like, yeah, so he would prefer it be done that way. And then again, in 6 months, you will redo it again.
Yep. Resolution 2025-15, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into a contract for the 2025 roadway improvement project and declaring it an emergency. We are going to read this twice and then skip the third reading, and then that's when we'll pass it. So
Okay.
our next meeting in 2 weeks, we'll read it again. That way residents have time to look at this, but they know what's coming, so.
Yeah, we want better roads.
Yep. All right, resolution 2025-16, a resolution to adopt the tax budget for the village of Minerva Park, Ohio for the year beginning January 1, 2026, and to submit the same to the Franklin County Budget Commission and to declare an emergency. Now, we are reading all 3 readings. Jeff, did you want to talk about this tonight?
Yes, a couple of items. First of all, the tax budget, its sole purpose is to justify the need for collection of property taxes and to participate in an allocation of local government money, which comes from the state down to the county and then gets distributed out. Sole purpose of it. This is not the operating budget that we deal with in the fall and pass in December. There are a couple of things that go with this. I set that resolution up for 3 readings. Problem is, I just found out from Barb, we don't have a meeting on July 10th.
Oh,
It's the 17th.
we pushed it back because.
Yes, and that creates a problem, because by statute, this has to be approved by council by July 15th.
Okay, so we'll have to waive a reading.
That means next council meeting, on the 26th, you'll have to approve it.
Or you can convert the 10th work session into a work session and a meeting.
You're a genius.
I won't be here on that day. Not that anybody cares that I don't need to be here, but I will not be here the 10th. But you don't need me to do
We
that.
got this.
Just
Exactly.
let me know if that's what you want me to do.
Sorry, let me just look here. So the 10th, the 17th.
Then it would just be the 10th and the 24th.
31st too.
Do you have a preference?
Let's,
No, I can, well,
can we just wait that third reading? Is that okay with everybody?
That's on you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
that means I need to get the publication for the public hearing on it for the 26th of this month, and it has to be done on Monday. Okay? That just bumped everything up by 2 weeks. So,
Say that again? What has to be done on Monday?
there's a
The hearing
public
has to go
notice.
out. Gotcha. It just took me a second. I got it.
And that would be scheduled then for the 26th? No, say that again. When would the public hearing be?
The 26th.
The 26th, correct?
This month, yeah, but the notice has to go out by the 16th.
Yeah.
In order to give.
That's what I was just rereading it in my brain.
Okay.
You're good.
So,
So,
she has to do something for a public hearing.
There has to be a
We have to post it as the public hearing, which will be done at
on the 26th of this month.
6. Because you have to be here and we have to do an actual public hearing here.
Yes.
So is everybody good with 6 o'clock? Because you guys, it is an actual meeting, so I need
Yes.
at least 3 of you, 4 of you?
Is it Thursday?
The
Yeah.
26th. Oh,
I'll be
Say
10
that-
minutes late.
okay, what is it? I'm sorry.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it is an actual public
It's a public
hearing.
hearing, it's a public meeting.
It's not a technical council meeting though.
No,
So how many of them, does any of them have to be here?
I can't answer that off the top
I
of
don't
my
either.
head.
I can be here.
I mean, I'll be here.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you can be here at 6.
Yeah.
I feel like we've always done it that way with council being here, but I know that that's
Correct.
pushing it. So the follow-up question is would you, you're not gonna be here regardless.
I will, my flight doesn't get in until 6 o'clock that night, so I'm gonna come straight from the airport.
So why don't we set the public hearing at 6:30? You can have the work session at 6.
Yeah.
Public hearings probably gonna take
5 minutes. Oh, yeah, you know.
And the meeting on the 26th is typically our shorter meeting,
Oh, it is,
so
yeah.
even if it goes into the 7 o'clock hour, we're fine.
I'm fine with that. Okay, so, Barb, public meeting. 6 o'clock.
Committee as a whole at 6.
Six, yeah.
Budget 6:30, council 7.
Correct.
Okay. Did you want to talk, I know we kind of cut out the finance committee tonight, did you want to say anything else?
The only other things I was gonna point out, I just sent out the May financial report. I thought I did that a week ago. I got distracted on many other things going on here, so my apologies for that not going out sooner. Good news, income tax collections as of June for this year, we are running up 7.8%. Now, it'll change some throughout the rest of the year, but we're holding between 5 and 8% on income tax being ahead of last year. So I'm happy to hear that. And I'm still waiting on an updated list from Rita about the non-filers so that we can proceed moving forward with sending out a notice to these people, a letter, and informing them of the process that they will be pulled into court summons if they don't deal with it within 30 days of getting our letter.
Yep.
Okay?
Can I ask a question? Sorry.
You can always.
This popped into my mind. Are we, could we take that money that we collect, whatever comes in, and put it into a lakes fund? Is that, can we have a lakes fund?
I think we need to have a bigger discussion on the overall projects as a whole that are taking place,
Yeah.
so that you get a big picture of what's really going on.
I was just thinking, you know, unless we have some type of savings program, we're never have enough money to pay for anything.
And the unfortunate side, you're right, the unfortunate side is the cost keeps going up faster than we can generate any kind of revenue for.
Right. But hopefully with good investment of a fund of some kind, we can generate a little bit of it, you know. I know it's not a whole lot, but we gotta start somewhere, right?
Yes.
And
I don't disagree with you, but
We're gonna sell hot dogs out there.
Sell a kidney.
let me think on it for a minute, okay?
yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not going to tonight. I just.
Just one question on the revenue from the May report, for Rita. Do we get monthly payments? Does the municipality?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking. So we're right on
We
track.
get an advance at the first of the month, and right around the 15th of the month, we get the final.
Gotcha. So everything looks in order with the revenue and all that?
Yes, like I said, we're running 7.8% right now.
And then as far as the pool goes, I know it's a little less and we all care about it, but I mean, obviously, we have the pool memberships, 200 or so. We have, I was just looking at the budget, obviously it's been really cold, so they haven't been able to sell as much. So just in general, we're asked, I guess, just make sure it's on the record, it's a little slower this year than most.
Correct.
But it was busy today.
Yeah, I think last year it rained a lot at the beginning of the pool season, and then we had a really hot summer last year, and I think the
Oh,
summer's supposed to be that way too.
Also, remember Northland.
Yeah, Northland closed. We really get most of our money at the pool from the door fees.
Yeah.
Like, that's really where we.
So, and that's what I was gonna hit on, Jason. So right now, the budget's like $40,000 for the daily pool passes.
Yes.
And we've only taken in 267 as of this date, which,
That's because-
as expected, yeah. And so to Jason's point, the hope is that increases, that's all.
But this is May's report, right?
So there's only a
That's
couple
May's
days.
report, so all of the receipts from June so far are not reflected there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty slow in June too, so.
Yes.
no doubt there. But yeah, just wanted to point that out, yeah.
Okay, so that was legislation. Was there anything, Mayor, did you have anything, or did you do yours?
I did mine early. I never remembered what the other thing was, but when I remember, I'll let you.
Can I make a suggestion for old business? I know I mentioned this to you guys. When we talk about projects in general, if we does it make sense? I'm asking the question, does it make sense to put specific items on there? So for example, for old business, does it make sense to put fan them and trying to, kind of, and maybe address it specifically. I know you guys have, I've actually seen it, but just asking specific questions, again, just try to make sure we're intentional on all our questions, if that makes sense. That's all, it's a question statement, but just something to think about.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we have to be reminded of those things. I think the best place to have discussions around it is in our work sessions, because we can talk more freely, and then use the council meetings as kind of a recap of what we discussed. So I think we can put it on both, and get a little more in depth, which I'm about to do with the maintenance building. But can we go through the questions that were submitted from our residents and have that discussion right now?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, sorry, I can only see two of you, I can't see that, so. No, I can see the YouTube. I just feel like this is the best place to discuss the questions that were submitted to us.
Totally
because
fine.
we can talk about it a little more freely, so, let me find the email, I'm sorry.
I got you.
Okay. Because there were some specific questions, there were 4 questions, at the end of this. Question number 1, and obviously our village engineer is not here. Can the project be modified, working with the residents, to include a detailed landscape plan with appropriate natural screening between the backyard of 2865 and the north end side of the maintenance building? Presently, the plan shows only an 8-foot chain link fence between the backyard of 2865 and the building. Now, I think we've talked about this a little bit, and the original building did not have any landscape plan, but that was because the landscape plan does not have to be part of a bid that we put out to RFP. The intention is to do some landscaping.
Correct. You guys will have to discuss what you want to do and find the money for it.
So,
But it's the same as any other project that we've done. We have not
We've not
done,
considered landscaping at all.
we have not
for this
considered, no.
right.
We
So,
have,
and
it's
it's
been,
not the time to do it at the
So
moment. It's,
landscaping-
because we don't know what it's gonna look like until
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah.
So,
But that's-
basically, yes, the answer
Yes.
is absolutely give us some time to at least build this and then figure out how much money we have, what season we have, who's able to volunteer, Minerva Flora, et cetera, in order to make this. And I think this is now a cost term, it's aesthetically pleasing for everybody involved and to make it as little of a footprint in a negative sense for everybody. So just, I think, maybe I'm taking the words out of your mouth, but I think we're all on the same page. We're not trying to make this an ugly thing. It is something that needs to meet the needs of the village from a practical standpoint, but it also needs to be as pretty as possible. And for sure that is a consideration. We're just not there yet.
and I think perhaps that leads into question 2 as well, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. okay.
With the lighting,
Question
exterior
2.
lighting.
What was that?
Lighting?
Lighting, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
So
no.
there's nothing in the existing plan which addresses exterior lighting. If an additional exterior lighting is determined to be necessary, can it be restricted to be residential in nature so that the neighbors can continue to enjoy the residential character of the home? I believe we discussed lighting over there, and the thought was that it would be motion detected because of vandalism, but because of where it's sitting and that type of stuff, the thought is not to have permanent lights back there. But for safety reasons, we need lights that kick on for any motion. Obviously, something hidden in the back is prone to vandalism and wandering people, and the lights should help with
Do
that.
we know where those lights are located, Kurt? or
We
where
don't
do we
have a
locate?
plan for lighting.
Oh, no plan for lighting at all?
No plan for lighting.
Oh, gotcha.
So, and then the other thing that we need to consider is, I think the technology for cameras now is pretty good. I mean, these are all questions we haven't visited yet. If we don't need that much lighting, we're not gonna put it in there. This isn't a thing where it's like, okay, like, let's make it as like commercial as humanly possible. We're going to try to make it as, again, as little of an effect to a neighborhood as possible. And if we don't need the lights, we can just get a camera that records stuff and doesn't need that much light, because my camera from, my garage, it's pitch black out there, I can see all the squirrels, all the deer, all the whatever, like, we have to explore it, and for sure, we're not gonna put in something that we don't need, and it's not gonna be like halogen fluorescent lighting shining into your windows a la Clark Griswold.
I can't speak for certain because I did not study the plans that close, but I can't imagine we're building a building without any exterior lighting.
I think we will.
There's gotta be like a porch light or something
Yeah.
over awning.
But I think it should be like, that's the thing, is like, for sure I can hone that and be like, okay, can it be as dimly lit as, you know, all those streetlights that we have in our backyards? It shouldn't be anything like egregious.
Just to let you guys
And
know,
just so you know, we have talked about
Oh.
cameras. We have talked, I mean, we have talked about whether or not we're gonna have a block camera, whether or not we're gonna have, there's gonna be a cost associated with that, but once again, until we actually see what we're dealing with,
Yeah,
what it's gonna look like, how many trees are gonna come down, how dark is it gonna be,
yeah.
all of the above, we have discussed those types of things. We've discussed that with Mike, we've discussed, you know, and it's the same thing that is not any different than how we did it here. We did the cameras after the building was here, after we saw what we could see from what angles, where they're gonna be located, but you can't do that until the I mean, you can pretend that you can see what it is, but we did not do the cameras until this building was completely set and done, and then we added, we had mosquito issues, so we added different lighting for different things that when the officers were coming in, we had an issue with the way that the lighting was, and it doesn't matter. It has been discussed, we have discussed it, we've discussed it with Mike, there are going to be budget things that we're gonna have to come back to you guys once we decide what type of cameras, what type of lighting, what types of those types of things that we need, once we see how it's gonna go.
Right.
And yes, I will say that our third shift officer has asked, is there gonna be something that, you know, in the event that when it's dark out, because it's typically when it's dark out, are they gonna have access to some sort of camera like clock, or are they gonna have that, you know, is it something they're just gonna need to drive down through there? So there's been questions surrounding that, just making sure that it's not vandalized and all of that, but.
Right, it has to be practical, but it's not, yes.
Okay, next question in here is, can special engineering attention be given to assure the stormwater flow from Columbus properties does not affect the maintenance building or change the flow, so any of it is directed either onto either 2865 or 2857? There's a little bit more to it.
I think we talked about
I know that the engineer was very concerned about it. Jeff, I think you and him may have even had some conversations about it, because it is very wet back there,
Yeah.
where the building's gonna go, that they've spent a lot of time going through the engineering plans to make sure that
To
the.
tie it in, I think we talked about like crunch trees and stuff too, yeah, just to tie it in. I don't think they're just gonna plop it down.
I actually walked the property the other day and it's dry back there.
It's dry.
Surprisingly, with all the rain, it's dry.
That's good, that's good.
Yes.
But I do know our village engineer brought up the fact that where it was gonna be located, that he had a concern about the wetness back there.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the concern is if you build something on top, is it gonna slope down into people's backyards?
Right.
And, you know, the whole, we wouldn't be a bad neighbor like that, I don't think I think that is something that you consider in order to make sure that, again, it is something that had no other place in the village, but that doesn't mean that we are not cognizant of the fact that we're doing this for our neighbors. So I don't think we would try and do something detrimental like that. It's not like we're just like, ah, you're still our neighbors, like I'm still 6 feet, like I wouldn't do that to me, why would I do that to you? So,
I'm
just so you
sure
know that.
We could ask our engineer that question.
Yeah, for sure. We can double check that just to
And
make
get an
sure.
answer for sure.
But that's not something, and if he said, no, we didn't think about it, we need to think about it, absolutely.
All right, and the last one here was Mr. Higgins, who lives at 2865, would also like to request that the decorative smoke tree and its surrounding plantings, which are on village land located to the right of the existing road, be carefully preserved, which should not impede any construction work. I'm not positive.
I don't know.
I'm not answering, I will not, if it is in the way, it's going to, I mean,
I don't know if we can promise
I'm
that.
not promising anything until I don't know how the roads are gonna,
We can try.
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know the answer.
Without looking at the map and without having Mike standing in front of me saying that that's not gonna happen, I would not answer that question.
I think there was talk about moving the roads away from where it was currently, over to the left a little bit, to where it currently.
Based on the request from residents?
No, I think Mike said that
Okay.
he wanted to move it further away from the building. He was not planning to use the existing road
Yeah.
that was there, that they moved it a bit over.
I think, yeah.
So I don't, I would imagine that what's there is gonna get torn out. I think we can ask them to do their best, but I don't know.
It's just hard, yeah,
Yeah. So those were the 4 questions in there.
we can try.
Any other comments with this or anything?
Mhm.
Anyone from anyone? Okay.
Anybody else have anything to say?
So I'll just, I know that you 3 came because you had concerns. Obviously during the work session and during council, we don't do question and answers type of thing. You're welcome to speak during citizen comments and just say what you want to say. But remember, if you ask us a question, we may not answer it. So it's just the way the citizen comment section works.
Yeah.
Okay?
Do you have that to where you can, because I am meeting with Mike, do you have that where I can print that, so I can show him which tree, if you can do that?
I'll send it to you.
Because I will give that to him.
Okay.
And that's the tree he's talking about right there. There's the existing there, and then there's landscaping here that we want to keep, I would think. But again, if they.
Mr. Busek, did you send that email to all of council?
I got it.
I got it.
Okay, thank you. If you didn't get it, I'll send it.
Yeah, I'll send it. It's right here.
Thank
It's
you.
just really hard to tell where this tree is. I think that's the sewer access. Is that on the side, the same side as the house? We can try, I don't know.
No, I'm gonna give it to him tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure, I mean, we can try.
Yeah, and
It's pretty.
hey, for the email that was sent, there's a picture of maybe the front of the house.
Yeah, it's right.
Where does that smoke pine tree sit?
Can I speak?
Yeah, yes, please.
We asked a question here.
Right, so it looks like it's actually at the side of it. It's hard to tell. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not long.
You guys can just.
I was just saying, in the plans, one of it's marked as being slashed through, is cut down, and 2 of the other pictures, it's not. So
Yeah, and
it shouldn't, from my opinion, have any effect on where the
How about
road's
we
going.
try to bring it to his attention and do our best?
When you look at the picture, you're
I can't-
not sure what you're looking at. You're looking at the side of the house that is adjacent to the access road.
So like right,
So if you look at the access road, to the right of it, it's hard to see, is a swale, which is about 2.5 feet deep. And then you've got the smoke tree and the attendant planting. So when you look at it, you think it belongs to the house. It doesn't. It's on village land, and it's been there for probably 30 years from the previous residents, the Hortons.
so with the current plan, there is a concern that that's going to be ripped out.
I think we move that over to the side.
There's probably no reason to rip it out, but if we could just
We'll bring
pay
it to.
special attention
Yeah.
and maybe have some fencing or some boundary, there's no reason to take it out because the access road is going to be widened in the other direction, not toward that.
Yeah, I will say like, my concern is like, it's still, the root system might still get damaged. I hope you guys like understand that. I mean, we'll try, that's the thing, it's like, I will try, but I can't make you any promises and there is a chance, something
Yeah.
might
Well, that's
happen.
just trying to respond.
Or somebody run it over.
Or something, right, but like, we'll try, I have stood in front of my mailbox because my mailbox matches the rest of my house and made sure that everybody didn't hit my mailbox. So like, I get it.
Well,
But that was,
nobody wants to spend more money. Every tree that we cut down is gonna cost more money.
Yeah.
So again, at the end of the day, we're not trying to,
yeah, we're not trying to cut down this tree.
we're not trying to cut down it.
Any
The-
extra tree.
The less, the better.
Yeah, again, I think the thing is like, and I get it, I think there's a concern that it's like, oh, we didn't think this through, we didn't dot our i's and cross our t's, the engineer, I think, he does a good job, he's so meticulous, and I think, I want to give him a little bit of credit, where, we did go through this, we did ask questions like, is there any way to limit, the impact on the residents, we've explored every other realistic position. We've even explored buying outside land in order to put it there, and that was unrealistic just for budgetary reasons. Like, we have pretty much exhausted every other option, and this was the only thing that we could do. So please don't think that we were like, oh, right there sounds great, too bad. Like, and then like, okay, it's in the middle, you know, on that street, how do we make it as minimal of an impact as possible? Like, I do want you guys to understand that, and I hope you give us enough credit to think that we are intelligent enough to be like, okay, these are our neighbors, we do care about them. So, that's all I have.
And the other thing I think we'll want to address with them is the lighting. It is on the plan. You can see the lighting.
There's lights above each of the bays, and there's one on the side of the building.
And the bays will be facing east, right? So they'll be facing east. So again, there will be lighting. If it's not censored, then you're going to have that lighting that's going
I
to.
don't know if that's the end product.
No, we have,
And then, so what I did want to say though, please, forgive me, is there is a light that's sitting above the door that would be facing the backyard. I can see that. Well, we can see that, sorry. And so we will want to figure out, let me just talk about
But
it.
that's the thing is like, I don't know if we actually talked about it for me to say, yeah, for sure, this is a definitive answer and there's no other solution. So please, yeah.
I'm just going off the plan.
Right, but the plan is like, maybe it's motion detected.
oh yeah.
This
Or it
is
needs to
not,
be turned off.
or we could just turn it off. So please don't think that this is like a definitive, absolutely, there's gonna be like something shining into your bedroom and, you know what I mean?
But we still need to address the plan that they're seeing. So we want to make sure that we address it with them because they're asking the question. And honestly, I would be tipped, just like the Minerva Park Middle School my daughter goes to, and the neighbors, I get that. So I think we want to address that. Now, what we will say is we'll ask the engineer, does this make sense to have a light there? Stuff like that.
Yeah, the lighting won't impact people to the east
No.
because they've got that big hill there.
Yeah.
But it would still be lighting that you'll see from his backyard. And that, in all fairness, right? I mean, even if it's not directly in the yard, there's still going to be some, you know.
Are we, anyone else have anything else, and then we can adjourn the work session and move over to the.
Okay.